Well, hello again, everyone. Sitting alongside Kenny Bruce, my name is Bass Masters, and we are continuing with our look at the NASCAR Illustrated Top 20 Drivers for 2011. We're up to number 17. Ryan Newman looks pretty good in his U.S. Army duds. Had a kind of a tough year last year coming off of 2009 where he made the chase, but it seemed like their equipment over at Stewart-Haas, and I guess from Hendrick Motorsports, wasn't quite as stout in 2010. What do you think Ryan's chances are of getting back to the chase? He's obviously a very good driver.
Well, I mean, you know, as bad as those guys started off last year, you know, they had the crash at Daytona, then they blew an engine in California. So after 2 weeks, he was, what, 36 in points? He
was behind the 8 ball.
He came back and they finished 15th. I mean, he was knocking on the door at getting one of the final chase spots. So I think they're going to be one of the contenders to get in there. I don't think you write them down as, you know, when you're sitting down and you're going, okay, these 12 guys are going to make the chase. I don't think Ryan's one of the guys that you're going to immediately mark down.
He's not an automatic. He's got to be in there.
He's not an automatic, but I think, you know, 2 years ago, both he and his teammate Tony Stewart, they had really good years because it was a new team. Everything was fresh. Everybody was excited, and they kind of carried that momentum throughout the season. Last year, it was a little bit more of a reality check. It's like, okay, we can't sit still. We've got to continue to improve and everything. And I think some of the areas they didn't step up in as much as they wanted to. I think they have addressed those over the winter. I think if he can finish well on the restrictor plate tracks, that he'll be better, and I think, you know, maybe he'll be back to being Rocket Man again.
Well, it's interesting. He only had the one pole last year. Has he changed his focus a little bit from, I mean, he loves to win those poles. We know he does, but is there a change in focus required for a guy to win races or run up front or have good points days as opposed to winning poles and kind of running every lap fast?
Well, I mean, you know, when he was winning all the poles, you know, then all of a sudden the car changes. They bring the new car in. Then last year they go from the wing to the spoiler,
right,
and it's continued to evolve. You've really not seen anybody in the series, you know, step up and go, that guy wins poles all the time.
Right, I mean, there hasn't been that
no,
big pole-winning guy.
No,
I mean, Ryan was the last one of those.
He was the last one,
right.
Yeah. So I think they're still getting adjusted to that. And in the meantime, you know, he's obviously more focused on, look, I don't care where I start, it's where I finish on Sunday that makes the most difference.
Right.
So they're more focused on that.
How dependent is Ryan and obviously Tony as well on what they get from Rick Hendrick? You look at 2009 and how well the Hendrick cars ran and how well Tony's cars ran. Obviously they had a pretty good advantage on a lot of the other race cars. Last year wasn't the case. Are they really dependent on getting good product from Rick Hendrick to do well, Tony and Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, that's why they align themselves with them, is, you know,
right,
they know what they're getting from those guys. They know that it's going to be competitive, but it's up to them to use it to their advantage. You know, I mean, Hendrick, as good as their stuff is, if you look at them last year, they had, what, one guy that was winning races.
Right, nobody else won.
Nobody else did. They were competitive, but those guys weren't back in the winner's circle either. So it's a lot about what you do with what you're given.
Now, Ryan Newman, when he broke onto the scene, it was he and Jimmy Johnson in their rookie year, and Ryan actually won Rookie of the Year. Now, Jimmy's got his 5 titles. We kind of forget about Ryan, but this is a very talented race car driver. I mean, he still has a lot of potential.
Yeah, he still does. You know, I don't think people, when, you know, he's a family man now. He's got his priorities in order. I think they just basically have to sit down and make sure that they've got a strong base to work from there at Stewart-Haas. And, you know, Tony Gibson, his crew chief.
I was going to ask you about Tony and that relationship.
I mean, Tony's won championships before. I mean,
right,
a lot of people don't know, but he was car chief for Alan Kulwicki when Kulwicki won his championship. So,
right,
so Tony's been around. You know, he's one of the, I don't want to say old timers, but,
right,
you know, he is one of the
got
veterans.
a little bit of old school in him anyway.
He's one of the veterans in the garage, and, you know, he knows, he and Ryan have a really good relationship, and that goes a long way.
All right, well, there you go. Ryan Newman, you think 15th is a good spot for him, or would you have rated him a little higher or lower?
I might have rated him a little. I would have rated him inside the top 15.
You would have?
Yeah.
Okay, at least 15th. A little better from Kenny
15th,
Bruce.
yeah.
All right, that's our look at Ryan Newman. We'll be rolling on with our look at the NASCAR Illustrated Top 20 Drivers for 2011. Don't forget to pick this bad boy up at your newsstands. We'll see you next time.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.